Hey there guys, welcome back, it's Maverick here today with another episode of Spy Family. And not just any episode, but the finale as well, because even though technically we are still having a full season of like 20-something episodes, they're not calling it a second season but a part 2, right? Although that's, I believe, off in sometime in October, so you might as well view this as a sort of conclusion of the first season. I guess I know technically it would depend on how exactly they end this particular episode, right? Like, are we going to be ending it at a very complete, like, cutoff point? I do believe so. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to had to put in some like expanded filler episodes. Filler, I guess you can't really call it filler, but expansions that were not within the manga, if you will. So, yeah, and at the end of last episode, it seems that we're getting a new family member, a doggo, just to complete the sort of like complete idealized family of Western cultures, right? You know, the idealized, I don't know, 60s, 70s, 80s concept of a perfect family. But, I mean, it's quite funny and ironic in all of that ways. But hey, this new character is going to be quite interesting as well because apparently it's a doggo with psychic powers. Yeah. With that in mind, I guess we're just gonna have to get into it and see what is gonna happen. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Berlin. Berlinto. How did you get the acronym of WISE? Wisteria Intelligence Service. What's the E? Hmm. Wait, how did... But what kind of information... How did she hand off the information to him? Within the coins? No. There's always going to be a need for intelligence agencies and spies. Just like there's always going to be a need for, you know, soldiers and whatnot. So, I made the, well, I guess prediction, if you will. Well, sort of like the inferring that the dog was going to have like predictive abilities, right? Precognizant abilities. I'm not quite sure if that is true or not. I mean, it's literally based on one scene. I just felt that because, you know, the dog was able to sort of like see the faces of the Forger family, seemingly looking at him. I just thought that maybe it would be a sort of like predictive power. Like the scene in its head is literally something that's gonna happen in the future, right? I mean, it could also just be like a stylized concept of him meeting the family, but still, that's all we have to go on right now. Oh. After all it's being said and done, it's gonna be kind of funny if actually we're not gonna do anything related to that in this episode. Like maybe that itself is a long arc, and that was just like a setup for future episodes. Like I literally have no idea. I mean, we are going into sort of like a huge recap right now, which kind of worries me that we're not actually going to get like any concrete story progression right now. Yeah, this seems like a big recap of all the characters. Hmm. I wonder how. I do wonder like how she manages to continue her assassination activities under the guise of like having a family, right? Because it's different from for Lloyd. I mean, he can literally say, okay, his job during the day, and just lie that he's a doctor and go off and do his spy stuff. But for Yolu, a lot more. It's a lot more complicated, right? I mean, as someone with a family, you typically can't just like literally waltz out of your house. Dang. Really. And typically with a young, beautiful voice. And yeah, just and yeah, so adorable. Oh, something. I think. Hmm, yeah. Right. Just use the other operation to, you know, I have priorities. Oh, exact same place. Terrorists now? Alright. Yeah, so I guess this means that we're going to be looking at the dog like later on. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that. It seems to be something that's gonna take a little bit more time. But I mean, we still have the episode to look through. Let's take a look. Oh, dang. How exactly? Of course, the mission is as ridiculous as ever. 200 penguins. Is it gonna be Anya to the rescue? Yep, Anya to the rescue. Oh wait, she can literally read. Oh no. Wait, is she reading the penguins or is she reading humans? Oh, it is the penguins. Holy shit. Oh, it's that one. Yeah. Really? Damn. Well, that's a genius for you. And yet, he can't figure out Yoru's real identity. Whoa. Oh my. Mission accomplished. Oh, Anya managed to. I wonder if Yolo is going to get involved somehow. Oh, yep, she is going to be. Uh-oh. That wow. That wow. Man, that penguin is pretty damn big. It's literally twice as big as Anya. Mm. Peanuts. Alright, so a tour of the house. Mm-hmm. And then daddy's and mommy's room. Look at how embarrassed he is. Yeah, who's there as well? Look how embarrassed Yo is. Well, alright. And there we have it for the season, eh? Alright, see you guys after this. Well, 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 so it seems like the anime threw me completely off and went in a completely different direction. So I'm guessing that probably, the sort of like preview that we saw last episode in terms of the dog was, like, probably that's a larger or longer storyline, so it requires more episodes. They can't really just fit that right here and whatnot, which I guess kind of makes sense. I was kind of questioning last episode as well as to how they were going to integrate it with just one episode, right? So yeah, this one turned out to be more of a, I guess in some ways, sort of like a summary episode also, right? Because literally the pacing of it felt like it's wrapping up everything that's happened in this season so far. You know, all the characters, what they're doing, what their motivations and objectives are, and it shows them utilizing their abilities each on their own, right? You got Lloyd obviously using his observation skills and whatnot, his spying skills. You have Anya using her mind reading abilities to find out the culprit, and heck, now apparently it even works on penguins as well. So actually, this means that she is going to be able to communicate with their pet in the future, right? So yeah, okay, that's definitely something. That's definitely another development that's really important for the future as well. Because I was kind of wondering, like, if they were going to get a pet dog that had psychic abilities, how exactly would the dog communicate with the family, right? But if Anya is actually able to directly communicate with him, yeah, that just completely solves the problem, right? So we got that going on, and then obviously we got to have Yoru showing up and beating the hell out of the bad guys, and so on and so forth. So everybody had a little bit of time to shine, and we get to see their dynamic, and we get to see them in quite funny situations as well. I especially like the comedic timing there. I think the thing that left me the biggest impression this episode was definitely the two wows by Anya and Lloyd when they saw the result of Yoru's overenthusiastic takedown of the criminals. Right, that was definitely hilarious to me. That just wow kind of thing, and Lloyd just nonchalantly walking past and going also like whoa. That was funny. So yeah. Enjoyable episode overall. Not really too much else to add here. I mean, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's sort of like a same old, right? It's literally because due to its characteristics, as sort of like a summary and a recap of the Forger family, what they're doing, their occupations, their personalities, and whatnot. So it really seems to be like quite formulaic, if you could say it. That doesn't mean it's not enjoyable, but it's just that you can literally see it coming a mile away. Okay, so this is where Anya's going to use her abilities, this is where Yo's going to show up and do something, and so on and so forth, right? And then of course at the end we have Anya acting adorable, and one big happy family, right? And things of that nature. But it's still I would say enjoyable overall, and quite funny overall as well. So, with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the entirety of Spy Family, right? Because after all, this is the last episode for this part 1, so since the anime, the kind of recap, let me do a sort of like recap as well. So this has definitely been a pleasant surprise to me. Spy Family is a manga that I've heard lots about, but I never really wanted to get into it. Like on one part, I definitely do read a lot less manga than I used to. That goes for anime and manga as well. And secondly, just from like reading the synopsis, reading the premise, right, it didn't immediately strike me as something that I would like to watch. Like, don't get me wrong, I like spy themed stuff, I like assassination themed stuff as much as any other, but I never really liked the sort of the comedy styles of spy stuff, unless, especially in terms of the fake family, because as I said before, this premise has been done in other media many times before as well, and I never really got into those. Now, comedy spy, that's one thing, right? Who doesn't love a good Austin Powers and whatnot? But if you put in like the concept of family into it and the fake family into it, I don't know. It just wasn't really, not exactly my cup of tea, if you will, and especially if they initially we started out with a sort of like father-daughter dynamic here, right? So I'm not really one too much to let's just say a lot of that kind of stuff isn't exactly my cup of tea either. Like that sort of like wholesomeness. It's not that I can't appreciate the wholesomeness. It's just not exactly something that I want to watch for entertainment purposes, if you will. However, I must say I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I think one of the key factors is indeed in Anya's personality, right? Typically, I'll just be completely honest here. I hate a lot of child characters in anime or manga, because they're typically annoying in a lot of ways. But Anya, she's just great, right? She is truly adorable and not to the point of annoyance. I guess in one part it's also because she acts way more mature than her age. Like, obviously she still shows her childish side, right? She is still a child, but because she's able to read minds and she's mature enough to be able to do a lot of other stuff that you typically wouldn't expect from a first grader or whatnot. So I think that definitely that definitely contributes a lot to how enjoyable the series is. This is a comedy first and foremost, so obviously I think pretty early on you can get the idea that it's not supposed to be really taking it seriously, the entire spy stuff or assassination stuff. I mean, heck, literally in this episode we are facing a situation where an organization stuffed like intel down the down the throat of a penguin as a handoff, right? I think that tells you all you need to know about like how serious this series actually is in terms of all the spy stuff and whatnot. But you know, all things considered, it is still enjoyable in those aspects as well, even if you know you really do get the kind of feeling that, hey, it's Lloyd, he can do anything, Yoru can take down anyone, and Anya is always going to be at the right place at the right time, and so on and so forth, right? But that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. Now, if I were to make a sort of like a complaint, if you will, about this season so far, it's definitely in the fact that, you know, I do kind of want to see the three characters grow together a little bit more in terms of their interactions and in terms of their relationship with each other as well. Like, I'm sure that's going to come in the future. Like, don't get me wrong. So it's just that I have a feeling that I'll probably enjoy the later parts or later seasons more than this initial part, right? It's still like we're kind of sort of trying to let everything fall into place. Anya just got into school, and now she's starting her school life and so on and so forth. But still, you know, I do kind of like want to see better, you know, more relationships develop between all of them. Like, I guess the most that has been developed so far is definitely between Lloyd and Anya, you know, the father-daughter concept. But like Yoru and Anya as well, like, is there an like sure they kind of, we can see they care for each other and whatnot, but maybe a little bit beyond that, like truly getting into like this sort of like, we have these sort of father-daughter bonding moments between Lloyd and Anya, right? I would love to see some of that between Yoru and Anya as well. You know, not just on the superficial sort of like, oh, I'll help you train, I'll help you do this, do that. You know, not just that, or I'll save you. Because as weird as it sounds, saving somebody is also kind of like on a superficial level, right? In a lot of ways. So we'd love to see that part being explored a lot more as well. And of course, you know, Lloyd and Yoru, right? We still gotta have to put some romance into this whole thing, right? And we got some of it. We got literally like one episode of it. I'm sorely disappointed that we haven't had another moment where Anya could say that mom and dad are flirting with each other, right? I was sorely disappointed. I'm sure that's gonna happen in the future, and if it doesn't, well, I will also be sorely disappointed. But yeah, all in all, though, you know, the character's enjoyable, the plot is enjoyable, you know, if a little bit unbelievable in a lot of times. Like, my biggest peeve would definitely be how Lloyd, being the genius he is, supposedly can't figure out Yoru's like true identity. Like Anya, that's one thing, right? You can't mess with somebody's like what they think in their mind. But Yoru, especially if she's still doing her sort of assassination stuff and whatnot, as we can clearly see here. I mean, she literally said it herself. I'm still struggling to figure out how exactly that's going to work when she needs to keep up appearances of like just a normal family wife, right? Yeah, because I'm. Well, you know, it's quite different from what, considering the sort of like background time period that they're in, and versus like modern days and whatnot. But I mean, like I said before, it's not meant to be serious. It's just sort of like, to me, even when I'm complaining about this, it's more tongue in cheek than anything. It's just sort of like a tsukomi, if you will. But yeah, anyways, I guess that is it for this episode and this particular, what should I call it? Part 1 of the season. So hopefully we will be getting a lot more of the stuff that I mentioned in the second part, and maybe later on. I'm sure that this is, you know, considering the success that this series has, it's probably going to be a long-going adaptation. In fact, I think already, like, it's already slated for 2. Was it already slated for 2 seasons? I can't quite remember. Or was it actually some other sort of anime here? No, I think only 2 parts has been confirmed. So at least, you know, 24-25 season episodes in the season. So at least we got that going for us, right? Anyways, yeah, I don't think there's really too much else to talk about. And for you guys who have enjoyed this series, obviously you will enjoy this as well. Is there anything specific I want to mention for this series that's doing things differently from others and whatnot? Not really, not really. I think maybe I guess I can clarify once again, right? I do appreciate the fact that even though the story is wholesome in the end, right? We have a lot of these, Anya is sort of kind of the main star of the show in a lot of ways. But it doesn't have, it isn't exactly overtly sappy, right? It isn't overtly wholesome to the point where I feel like I'm just watching some sort of like father daughter kind of. I remember like there was definitely some animes that I've watched in recent years, like also one with the Forest Guardian and whatnot, which to me it definitely, you know, I want it to be entertaining, right? Like wholesomeness in itself isn't entertaining enough, right? I don't feel like my heart is dark enough that I need to watch some wholesomeness in order to get my life back on track. That's the main point I'm trying to drive here. So I feel like Spy Family definitely knows how to keep the balance here between the fun parts, the entertaining parts, and to sprinkle some of the wholesomeness in there to sort of like enhance it, right? You don't need to use too much. It's sort of like seasoning. To me, it's definitely not the main part of the show, but if you sprinkle it on, it brings out the entire show's flavor a lot more as well. So I think that's, I guess, my final comment on all of this and why I think Spy Family is so enjoyable, because it manages to do the core like family stuff as a sort of like overarching concept surrounding fun events, right? And not really focusing on that as the focal point. So yeah, anyways, that is it for now. Thank you guys, and of course, feel free to check out my other stuff, and if not, I will see you guys all back in I think October, right? So hopefully you guys will all come back, and I'll see you guys soon. Until then, bye bye.